The instructions for Lut's family were precise. Set out in the night and let not a single one of you look back. In the logic of this escape, the backward glance is a point of synchronization. To look back is to re-identify with the city under judgment, physically merging the traveler with the landscape they were commanded to leave behind. This physical event mirrors a specific reader's trap. When the Quran is dismissed as ancient legends or stories of the past, the reader performs that same fatal turn, treating a living guidance system as a historical artifact. Seeking the truth in what has already been judged as past creates a state of stagnation. It locks human perception into a dead coordinate, making forward movement impossible. The figure known as the Samiri describes this process of looking backward for authority. He confesses to taking a handful of dust from the footprints of the messenger to construct his idol. Cultural faith often follows this exact blueprint, abandoning the active, living signal of the message to worship the historical traditions it left behind. This is the vector of Shaitan. The Quran describes his path as a series of footsteps that lead the reader away from the source and back into the fog of human conjecture. Because the book operates in the present, relying on these historical traces results in a hollow worship. You end up holding a handful of dust instead of the living word. In verse 40-34, we see a recurring human error. When a messenger dies, the people declare the chain closed, assuming the function of the message is tied to the survival of the man. But there is a distinction between the Nabi and the Rasul. The Nabi is the prophet, the finite, biological vessel existing in a specific time. The Rasul is the messenger, the functional, eternal field of the word itself. Think of the prophet as a finite point on a timeline. The messenger is a continuous wave passing through that point. The biological vessel passes away, but the messenger function remains continuous. 1047 confirms every community has a messenger, an active present tense office. Analysis of 4157 and 158 shows the Rasul field is beyond biological termination. The body may be taken, but the word remains operational. This leads to 2369. Do they not know their messenger? Searching only in history denies his presence in the text. The messenger is not a memory to look back on. It is a living field that must be recognized here and now. Verse 3144 warns that turning back on your heels after the prophet's death is a failure to uphold the covenant. Turning back is the act of injecting external noise, like hadith, majority opinion, and conjecture, into the divine equation. Verse 3923 describes the Quran as a consistent, self-referencing structure. It is a closed universe that explains itself through its own recurring patterns, requiring no external scaffolding. Bringing outside noise into this system breaks the seal. It clouds the glass and prevents the internal light of the text from becoming visible. It is impossible to hold the living book while your hands are still full of historical dust and cultural conjecture. Clearing this noise requires the activation of akal, or reason. Verse 10-100 states that those who refuse to use their reasoning remain in a state of defilement, unable to see the logic. Once reason clears the fog, the command of 1912 can be executed. O Yahya, take the book with strength. In this context, strength refers to structural integrity. It is the resolve to lock onto the book's frequency and hold that connection without letting the pull of the past interfere. Reason is the spark that starts the engine, but gripping the book with strength is what actually drives the reader forward. The goal is revealed in verse 38-46, a sincere remembrance of the home. This restores the soul's unified state. Verse 20-100 warns of the alternative. Turning away from this remembrance carries a heavy burden on the day of resurrection. This home is not found in the ancient footprints of a dead city. It is a future state realized by following the living word forward. Walking away from the Quran is walking back into darkness. The past is judged. The book is alive. When will you activate 1912?